As you can see, we've got an amazing list of panelists today, hailing from the world's leading technology startups and also pioneers in the sharing economy, so it's good. That's pretty cool. And I think it's a great time to be talking about the sharing economy right now because it's no longer a new and totally unproven idea. I think it's reached a level of maturity and driven by massive consumer adoption of these services. And reports indicate that the two most valuable privately held tech startups in the world are actually from the sharing economy. Uber is number one, which is worth 18 billion reportedly, and Airbnb is worth 10 billion. You can ask them about that later if you want.
I describe it in two different ways. I think the first is a bit of narrative, that cities used to be villages where people worked a trade or had a small business that was local and everyone knew everyone. And then we had the Industrial Revolution, and after World War II, everything became mass produced. Cities became more isolating, nobody knew anybody anymore. And now, thanks to technology, people are able to make person-to-person connections, build individual brands. And we actually think the cities of the future will be closer to the villages of the past, where people are micro-entrepreneurs, where space is used as space is needed, and things are as localized as possible. And if that definition doesn't appeal to you, the second one would be the average power drill is used for 13 minutes in its lifetime. And the question is, do you need a power drill or do you just need a couple of holes drilled? You guys, it's a philosophical question.
Is Airbnb getting into power drills? Are you now
Yeah.
So here's what I think is in common with all the companies up here. Technology makes things cheaper. So there was a time where owning printed books meant you're super, super rich. Like you had someone write you a book, that's awesome, you must be very, very wealthy. Or getting a car was very expensive, not in the hands of most people. So then technology comes and invents the printing press and the assembly line. And I think what you see now, there are good narratives for everything that we do, and that's great press, shit. But the reality is, it's like staying in an Airbnb is cheaper than staying at the Sheraton because the Sheraton is overpriced and has an unfair monopoly on lodging in this city. I'm from here. I've never stayed in a hotel here, but I understand that they're like 400, 500 a night. That's crazy. An Airbnb on the Upper West Side, on Central Park West, is going to be $150 a night, and it's a better experience. But it's actually about the cost. Having a recruiter full time in your business, we got one like 4 months ago. We've been doing this for 4 years. We got one 4 months ago. We had one recruiter for all of Uber everywhere, and now it's like, okay, well, we're pretty big now. We should get one. So for most companies, like recruitment as a service is awesome because you don't want to have a full-time one. You just want one while you need one. If you have a really cool idea, you have to go and get it patented, which is a bunch of bullshit, or pay something to do a prototype, and it's crazy. Most people have ideas, but they never act on them because it's too expensive. So Quirky comes along and is like, hey, we'll take your good idea and make it, whether that's an air conditioner or a cool power strip or whatever. Or Uber, maybe you don't actually have to have a car anymore. Maybe we'll just drive you around. And that's a thing that only really rich people used to get to do. And now everyone can do it because there's UberX and it's cheap and it's awesome. Like I said, I'm from here and I never took a taxi. I just didn't do that. That's not what my family did. But I take Ubers everywhere now because it's cheap. It's cheaper than a cab. So
is it free for you?
Well, I think we're the company that's in the B2B space, so following in the footsteps of these great brands. There's not many companies that have taken the shared economy model into the B2B space that we know of. I think we're one of the first, but I think the opportunity is frankly probably bigger because there's just a tremendous amount of inefficiency. And having been a customer of Uber and of Airbnb, I see the value proposition. In fact, I got the idea of riding in an Uber car about a year ago for RecruitiFi. And in recruiting, there's so much wasted capacity. The companies out there, their HR departments are just spending endless amounts of time trying to find candidates, and recruiters are spending endless amounts of time sourcing candidates and then placing a very small percentage of them. So getting the word out and closing that inefficiency gap, I think is just there's gonna be a lot of value opportunity there for us and for other companies that jump into the business side of the shared economy. I think we're just very much at the inception stage of this whole shared economy, and definitely on the business side, very much at the inception stage. In our industry, there's a lot of traditional sourcing methods. So there's job boards, there's traditional recruiters, there's recruiting process outsourcing companies, and we're really disrupting those. And we're the first mover in our category. So far there isn't any competitors. There's a bunch of companies sort of starting to poke their heads up, but none have come out with a working platform like ours. So we're just going to run as fast as these guys have run, and hopefully stay ahead of the competition.
But I think competition is the greatest thing you can have in a business. It's the best thing you can do. Otherwise you get stale, you get fat, you get slow. You know, and you get really complacent, which is like, okay, who can beat me? The best thing that can happen to you is a competitor enters the space and you go, oh shit, I've got to do something. And you think, and you know, they're going, you know, straight and you make a right turn, and that's the best thing that can happen.